Man, gotta love the swing music and awesome fashion of the 1940s. I mean, the hats alone were awesome. We should have fedoras for our uniforms. I mean, I was in Scouts in the 70s. What was up with that? Red berets? Really? I mean, wait, what are we doing again? Oh yeah. Hi, and welcome to the History of Rotary Scout Reservation. I'm your host, Ed Keelan, and I'll be taking you through a history of camp. Today we continue to build on previous episodes with Part 3 in the series, the 1940s. In Part 2, we saw what was likely a fairly limited program at Rotary. Troops stayed in cabins, ate in a dining hall, and the program included swimming for sure, but beyond that, we don't really know any specific programs that were provided. Like the 20s and 30s, most of what is known about the 1940s comes from the Troy newspapers, and that's fairly limited. We do know that the first camp patches seem to come from the 1940s. They were felt patches and depicted Uncle Sam. This was because the Troy Area Council had become the Uncle Sam Council. These felt patches were used until 1952. We also know that the Scouts began staying in tents. Sites were created and named after the local indigenous peoples. The locations aren't certain, but if we look back at the photo I just showed, we'll see that there were sites near the Four Corners, possibly Seneca or Iroquois. You'll also notice the authentic use of totem poles and teepees in the site. As for the program, here's what we know. Not surprisingly, aquatics continued to be a popular program. New docks were purchased in 1949, according to the Troy record. It's easier to see here than in the 20s and 30s photos that the waterfront was located on the east shore, just past the inlet stream. It also mentions in the article that a new swimming area was divided into the ability groups that we know today, swimmers, beginners, and non-swimmers. The scouting program was well ahead of its time in this regard. It also refers to rowboats and canoes being docked, so clearly boating was part of the program. This photo from the Times record shows scouts practicing knots, so it was likely that there was some form of a scoutcraft program. We can surmise that this probably included pioneering and hiking in some form. Apart from the program, there is one other thing worth noting from the 1940s. This one hits kind of close to home as the history series I'm creating was done in 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic time period. Only a couple weeks ago, it was announced that Rotary would not be operating traditional summer camp for the 2020 season. This would be the first time the program wasn't run since 1943. In 1943, the camp director, Leonard Barton, passed away suddenly right before the beginning of camp, and summer camp was canceled. Clearly, Rotary was able to move past this sad event, and they ran summer camp in 1944. So, here's looking forward to the continuation of great summer camp programs in the summer of 2021 and beyond. In Part 4 of the series, we'll be looking at the 1950s. We'll see how the program expanded beyond aquatics and scoutcraft. Until next time.